Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
So tonight we are doing a bit of a change-up for our usual stuff, where we're going to do a fantasy movie that came out back in 1968 called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Now, you're going to say, huh? No, well, we do fantasy, okay? But one of the reasons why we're doing it is, for a couple of reasons.
Yes.
Roald Dahl. A lot of guys know him. We'll talk about him a bit later on. He wrote lots of different books, and he also did one James Bond screenplay.
Yeah, he did.
And lots of other things which weren't kids' books. So Roald Dahl was a man of many talents.
Yeah.
And also Dick Van Dyke.
And another thing about this movie, it was based off a book by, you never imagined, never guessed it, for 100 years, by the guy who wrote the James Bond books, Ian Fleming. Ian Fleming, the guy who wrote the James Bond books, he wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for his son, Casper, when he was a little boy. And
That's right.
at the time when he wrote the book, he didn't see the debut of what became of that book because he passed away years ago.
That's right, yeah.
Because I think that he was either having too much good life by drinking, smoking, and
having
I think he had a heart attack a couple of times too.
But Ian Fleming did a lot of the James Bond books. He also did some kiddies books. And Roald Dahl did something similar. And actually, they had a bit of similar backgrounds. I think they're both in the Army or Navy or something or other.
Yeah.
As officers and different things. And so, they had similar ideas and, I suppose, similar creative zeal.
I think almost a lot of famous writers, like the guy who wrote Lord of the Rings, he went to
Mr.
fight.
Tolkien?
He fought in World War I, II, I think it was.
I can't remember now.
And he wrote. He, thanks to the war and his friendship with his friends in college, he kind of developed his stories for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
I think he started writing before the war, and then put the writing on hold, and then developed his ideas a bit further on when he got back from the war. I think, if my memory serves me correctly.
You're probably correct. I think this is where most of them, you could see or feel that behind their story that there's experience. Like a lot of people often say, without experience, you won't be able to create a story. So in this case, these guys, they went ahead and actually did that and put experience into their stories and managed to cook up some really good stories for their fan base. Anyway.
Something like that. I'm pretty sure Roald Dahl would have been in the Second World War, and so Ian Fleming probably would have been in the Second World War.
Yeah, not in the same unit.
Not in the same unit necessarily, but yeah. But anyways, interesting. A lot of these guys they're all called up for, I think it was World War II. Tolkien might have been World War II as well.
Yeah, I think he did.
It was a world war. Everyone came to the party.
Yeah, and of course, not everyone would have introduced each other, saying, "Hi, my name is Ian Fleming. What's your name?" Roald Dahl. Oh, how are you going?
There would have been hundreds of thousands of people involved, Sarah.
I know.
From different countries, so yeah.
And
irrespective.
Yes, exactly.
Can we get onto it now?
Sure, we can.
Right.
Go for it.
So that's one reason why you got a cross-reference Ian Fleming and Roald Dahl and Dick Van Dyke, who's almost 100 now. So we thought, let's
about 98, according to what I found.
And here's something too. Before I get on to go through my normal thingies, one of the guys who did the James Bond movie, Albert Broccoli, was also the producer of this movie.
Aha.
So it's all interjoined.
Now the plot thickens.
The thick plottings as well. Anyway, here we go. Produced by Albert R. Broccoli. Directed by Ken Hughes. Screenplay by Roald Dahl and Ken Hughes, who was the director, obviously. And based on story Chitty Chitty Bang Bang by Ian Fleming, which Sarah mentioned previously. So, interesting.
Yeah.
I will go through a lot of the actors, but there's lots of sneaky ones there because there are a lot of well-known actors.
Yeah. Especially ones you may have seen in James Bond, obviously.
And others. Okay, now, I won't go through the whole... I've got about 20 people. I won't do the whole 20. I'll just skip through them. Dick Van Dyke plays Caractacus Potts. He's the male lead. Now, Sally Ann Howes plays Truly Scrumptious. Very attractive lady who can sing and stuff.
Yeah, interesting that.
And I was going to say, I saw her in some movies when she was younger, halfway in or something or other, and also I think it was Dead of Night, which is a sort of a bit like an anthology horror sort of thing, and she was a teenage actress, and you could not pick it. The totally different personality, totally different. It's so many years later. But yes, Sally Ann Howes. Yes, she's been around for quite a few years.
Yeah, interesting thing is, Julie Andrews didn't invite Dick Van Dyke. He wanted to have Julie Andrews join him on this film fan show, but she turned it down because she didn't want it to
get stuck in those roles.
Be stuck in those roles
Mary
with
Poppins and stuff
him.
and other
so
things,
she just thought it was too dead on similar to her current role.
Anyway, Lionel Jeffries plays Grandpa Potts.
He's funny.
Gert Frobe plays Baron Bomburst. Now, Gert Frobe was in Goldfinger. He played the naughty guy, and other movies. Let's go down a few. Benny Hill plays the toy maker. James Robertson Justice plays Lord Scrumptious. He's a bit like a Willy Wonka. He makes candy.
Which could probably explain why Roald Dahl was able to put in his own flavour to it.
Whatever. Robert Helpman plays the child catcher. Barbara Windsor out of the Carry On crew, as she plays a blonde lady at the carnival.
What about the little kitties?
Wait a minute. Desmond Llewellyn as Bill Coggins. He plays in a James Bond movie as who, Sarah? Come on.
Q.
Q Branch, exactly.
He appears in the beginning, but he doesn't appear anywhere else.
No, but the point is, you think about it, Broccoli did the James Bond movies, he also did this movie, so obviously he was known.
I imagine some of these people were contracted to Broccoli, so you cannot break a contract.
Now, there's a guy here, and I've seen his face before, lots of other things. His name's Victor Maddern, Maddern, plays a junk man, and I've seen him in other movies. I just can't place him in main lead roles, but he's got just one of those iconic sort of faces and thingies, personalities and whatever. He's really good. But anyway, I'll leave the rest. That's good. But there's
what
a lot
about
of
the two little kitties? They play a minor role.
Jekyll, okay, where are they?
Heather Ripley, who is Jemima Potts, obviously, and Adrian Holt as Jeremy Potts, I think it was.
Yeah. Heather Ripley plays Jemima. He's a little girl. She's really cute.
Adorable.
And Adrian Hall plays Jeremy. So they could actually they cover it well. They're not too over the top. They're not sickly sweet or anything. They're
over the top.
No, some kids get really, really bad in front of the camera. So it's good to see kids actually doing a role which isn't totally ridiculous. So the kids in Mary Poppins were pretty good too.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the boy, obviously. He passed away very young.
Lord, please. We're not talking about Mary friggin' Poppins.
Will you calm down?
So stop digressing all the time.
Hey, I can't help it.
They're going to say, oh, who died?
Well, it was the, I think it was the boy who played the boy in that one. And,
in Mary Poppins.
And it's sad because he died so young.
Well, there you go then.
Yeah, and while he's the girl who played his offsider, or his sister, she lived to a ripe old age.
Well, there you go then.
And still is living to this very day.
Very nice. Can we talk about the movie now?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, unfortunately, he said, what? It cost about 10 to 12 million to make this. But I think part of the problem was they did a lot of location shoots. They went over to Europe and different things. They did England and Europe, and they bounced around. So it was, let's get the motorcade rolling, let's get the airplanes going. So, a lot of, it did ram it up. Yeah,
England, France, I think Russia, I don't
know if it was Russia. It's some place in Europe. Okay, I've got a list of places later. Anyway, but they only made it about 7.5 million.
It's quite a great deal of money.
No, they took a bath. They spent 12 and made 7. Which means they're behind?
Anyway, guys, I used to thought this movie was a Disney movie because it had that
very
Disney look to it.
It's got a Disney feel to it, but it's not Disney. No.
I did remark to Mike, maybe they may have hired a few people who work within Disney, who work behind the scenes, who managed to give that touch of magic to it.
Here it is. Production companies. Warfield Productions and Dramatic Features. There you go. Mm-hmm. Distributed by United Artists. I didn't see Disney or Buena Vista or anybody in there. No.
I'm just saying that. I said we closely examined the other movie we previously reviewed, The Swan Princess, and that animator decided to kind of break with Disney and do his own thing. Maybe some of these people who work behind the scenes worked with Lachlan. They may have decided to go ahead and work in his studio for a bit and see how it feels like.
Well, they may have left because they might have got disenchanted working with Disney and went to work
it's
somewhere
not the
else.
first time animators and directors decide to break with Disney and move on to other parts of the world.
Can we move on to telling this story now?
Sure.
Okay.
So,
once upon a time.
So the story begins where a racing car, back in the 1900s, I think it was, and is going in these races, many of them, and one day it crashed into a ditch and it went off to the junkyard. End of the line, according to when you think about the end of the car. And soon enough, we meet two little kids named Jemima and Jeremy, who are playing with the car. Of course, the junk man is about to sell it to a merchant who's going to melt it down into a nothing left of it. Obviously,
yeah, exactly.
Of course, the kids protest, and of course, the junk man tells them, I want 30 shillings, I think, for the car. So if your father can buy it, then the car is yours. I
think it's 30 shillings. Yeah, it's a few dollars back in those days.
Yeah, I think it's roughly that much. Anyway, the kids, as they're heading off, they nearly come to getting run over by this beautiful lady named Truly Scrumptious, a beautiful blonde, obviously.
Yeah. And her last name is really Scrumptious. That's her father's last name, and he's got Scrumptious Confectionery. There you go.
Anyway, she, after nearly running them over, literally, she offers to drive them back to their house, obviously, and we learned that they live in a windmill, obviously, right?
Well, there's a building next to a windmill, and
it's beautiful.
I think they got the building and the windmill, and probably up there.
Possibly. Anyway, she soon meets Mr. Potts, who's an inventor, and he experiments with rockets, and this was the funniest bit of the movie.
And other things.
Yeah, he kind of nearly gets his butt burnt with some firecrackers, obviously, but luckily, Truly saves his life. But he didn't appreciate it. He thought she was interfering with science research stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, of course, the kids, they are dismissed, and the inventor goes back inside his laboratory, which is sort of part of the windmill. I think it's the windmill that's probably part of his laboratory, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's where he does all his funny work,
Yeah, here we see most of his inventions, like moving pictures, device, a vacuum cleaner that has not been invented yet.
Well, no, he tried to invent one of the first vacuums. It sucked balls up, but actually sucked up the carpet as well. So,
yes,
the vacuum's a little bit too strong on this one.
Yeah, and a special candy making machine, which the candy itself has holes in it. But we learn later on it becomes very useful. Obviously, of course, he dismisses her, saying that she's a busybody and she doesn't like this, so she just leaves. And of course,
how rude.
The little kids think she's fantastic, but he has a slight crush on her. Obviously, you could see it when he's trying to button up his jacket inside out.
Yeah, he's I think it's inside out, and his buttons are all skewered and off center. Yeah, he's preoccupied with the pretty lady.
He then remarks that he doesn't doesn't want anyone else. He likes having his children around.
He's obviously his wife died. He's been stuck with 2 children
and a grandpa to look after.
So he doesn't want any woman in his life apart from a memory.
Anyway, as they're eating, the kids tell him about the car that they want to buy for 30 shillings. And of course, they ask their dad, could you buy it for us and stuff? Of course, most of the money he's been putting towards are for his inventions, obviously. And Grandpa doubts that his inventions will work or take him places, all that stuff. Anyway, later that night when he's in his laboratory, whatever, he is looking at his candy and he finds out that if you blow through the tube, you can hear whistlings.
Yeah, really good, hey?
Realizes he's kind of onto something, so he heads to the Scrumptious factory, obviously, and he tries to get an interview with the...
Mr. Scrumptious.
Yes. Of course, thanks to Truly, she was able to get him in, of course. Of course, the guy doesn't really want to listen to him. He keeps on getting disrupted by other things, like the rest of the factory's stuff, like getting everything. But luckily enough, he was able to get his attention through a song and dance, and eventually he finally got him to actually eat some of the lollies, and eventually he likes it. Of course, he's not the only one.
But they started blowing through the candy, making... And it was some of the frequencies attracted all the local dogs who invaded the factory, and you guessed it, they made a mess of the factory, which means that all deals were off.
Yeah, eventually, of course, Potts feels a little like he's laying down his children, and he then decides to go to a special carnival, I think it was.
Yeah, local carnival, yeah.
Where he tries to use his
automatic hair cutting machine.
Yeah, but it doesn't work out. Of course, he gets chased by the guy who got his hair cut, and eventually he was able to use what he's best at. Dick Van Dyke's best at singing and dancing.
He got dragged into a musical troupe doing a number, and they threw money at him because he's so good, and he got enough money to buy the car.
Yeah, he soon brings back the car, and eventually he starts tinkering it right away, obviously. Of course, his dad says, don't go overboard. Of course,
And don't get your hopes up, children. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he works day, night, and eventually it comes out and it looks...
like a brand new car.
Every time I think of this car,
it looks good, actually.
It's a shame that we never saw this in the car display we saw.
Yeah, we went to a car museum recently. That would have been nice.
It would have been cool.
So it's really old cars, over 100 years old. Yeah, very basic, but they look really good.
Anyway, the kids are keen about having a drive in their car, but then the dad suggests, let's go down to the beach and have a picnic.
Let's take Truly Scrumptious with us. He might want to go and have a sandwich.
Of course, that was much later. Of course, his dad continues to think this car will never go because this is his son we're talking about here, who never got everything working really well.
Went like a dream.
Yeah, it started moving really fast, including even outrunning a train at one point.
Yeah, but trains weren't very fast either back in those days.
I suppose so.
But the point is, it made a bit of a funny noise that putted along, and that's where the name Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. So,
and they sing a song, obviously, and eventually they ran into Truly Scrumptious, and I think she drove her car in the same spot again into the creek.
Kept going in this little creek. Mm-hmm. Someone just plant the car there and just put some lily pads around it, because he ended up there about 3 or 4 times during this movie.
Anyway, he helps her out and offers her to come with them to the beach for a picnic. Of course, she doesn't object to it, and so they head down to the beach. And she had a
wonderful time, the kiddies.
Yeah, and including Dick Van Dyke. I think it was fun when he did a bit of a funny, antics in this scene, obviously. Yeah. It made me think of Charlie Chaplin when I think about that.
I think they got the idea from that, but anyway.
Anyway, soon enough, as they're settling... they noticed a boat on the horizon, and this is where the second half is all like a fantasy story.
Then he tells the story of the children,
yes,
which involves them, obviously, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the car.
Yeah. And about this Baron Bomburst, who wants to steal the car and take it back to Bulgaria. I think it was Bulgaria.
It's like Bulgaria, but it's got a V. So I think it's a made-up place, obviously.
Yeah. Of course, thanks to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang's magical car abilities, they were able to outwit the bad guys and get away. Of course, the Baron sends his 2 loyal spies. Loyal my foot, if you ask me.
Stupid spies. They're really stupid.
Yes.
And they abduct his father, thinking that he's the inventor.
Yeah.
Oops.
Eventually, Chitty kind of grows wings, and they kind of flow after them after their flying machine thingy wing. I think it was they called it an air blimp, if you call it. And as they start following them to the Bulgaria, and as we go along, we eventually arrive there, obviously, and then they soon land, and they take his father into the dungeon where he has to make a well, they don't know about the flying car.
The Baron has a car, and he wants Mr. Potts, the inventor, to make it fly and do other good groovy things. But
of course, if he doesn't do it, he'll get his
grandpa.
Yes, and if he doesn't do it, he'll get his head cut off.
But there's already several other guys there, other people who've been imprisoned there to work on the car, and they haven't got a clue either. Yeah.
Anyway, I often think the Baron is like one of those hopeless children, adult children who just thinks everything's his.
I want, blah, 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 make it, I want
Make it, bake it, or creep it.
Yeah.
Anyway, soon enough, the Mr. Potts and his kids and Truly arrive at the area, and eventually they hide the car, well, not really well.
Well, they hide it under a bridge, so people can't see it easily.
They then head into the small town, and there they notice that
there's no children.
Yeah, a lot of adults, but no children.
And the people looking at them weirdly, strangely.
Yeah. Eventually, they start scattering because the soldiers were coming, and of course the toy maker, who's Benny Hill, asked them to come into his store to hide them, obviously.
To protect them. Isn't that lovely?
It seems interesting that such a toy maker... I told this to Mike yesterday, that it's amazing that this toy maker is not out of business. But I guess the only people who buy his toys are the king, because he, as he said, he's like an adult child because he likes toys.
Yeah.
So I guess he would be the most expensive
But there were still children there, but they're all hidden.
Yeah, they were.
Under the mountain in a cave underneath the... Yeah, well, I think it's the same mountain the palace was on, wasn't it? Castle? Mm-hmm. Yeah, down the bottom in the cave, stuck in the caves, whatever, yeah.
Anyway, they hid the kids in the basement, and the kid catcher, like a dog catcher, if you can call it, comes there and starts sniffing the place out.
He got a nose for children. And has he got a nose?
Oh, yeah.
A bit of prosthetics on that one. Mm-hmm. But Robert Helpman.
Eventually, he leaves, and he's not convinced that the kids aren't there, obviously. Eventually, Potts decides to go and try to find, because his car was already taken.
His car's been taken. His father's been taken, and the kids have been taken. He's got nothing left to lose, has he?
Eventually.
And how do you get back
There was
home?
an interesting scene where when Baron tries to make the car fly, but they tried testing buttons, and eventually there's an injection seat. Boom!
Yeah, that was funny, because in the back seat he had his wife sitting in it and this big spring going, wacko!
No.
And I thought, shades of James Bond here.
Yeah, I imagine whenever I think about this, I like to think Ian Fleming was into cars, and that's probably his obsession, aside from his interest in writing and stuff.
Exactly. I like cars.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so...
I love cars.
So eventually, Mr. Potts and the toy maker, they go down under the castle and meet the little children that have been left there or hidden away by the parents, because for fear that they would be taken or
by the child catcher.
Yes, and I don't know what they would do if they do.
Well, I don't know.
His children...
I don't know. It doesn't say what happened to them.
Yeah, Jemima and Jeremy, they are placed in the tallest tower within the castle, obviously. Anyway, so Mr. Potts comes up with a plan for a surprise attack on the Baron and his guests at the Baron's birthday party. See, this is why the toy maker's actually making a gift for the Baron. And
happy birthday, you knucklehead.
Yes. So this was a best way of ambush time. So we then get to the party, and it's in full swing, or not really, because the Baron looks like he's bored.
He was bored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Less pleased about it, and less pleased to see his wife there because he just likes her so much.
Oh, they hate each other.
Oh, you should see them.
Well, I don't know if she hates him, but he hates her.
I think he hates her. She likes him. Just likes. It's one of those one-sided love, or not really one-sided love things. He probably thinks she's nuts.
And he's not. Anyway,
soon enough, the toy maker presents his present, obviously, which is 2 doll-like life figures, and of course, they sing, they dance, obviously, and eventually he's impressed. Miss Baron is impressed with them, obviously, and of course, these are not really dolls; they're actually Potts and Truly dressed as dolls,
as large-size dolls. Yeah.
Yeah, and
doing a dance routine.
Yes.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Eventually, during the dance routine, Potts was able to hook the Baron by his pants to
a rope that was lowered down from the ceiling.
Yeah. While the kids yanked him up. And then we get the whole kids start invading the castle and start attacking. Well, not attacking. They're trying to trap the guests. Obviously.
The guests and do things and eat some of the food.
Of course, they're hungry.
Yeah.
Anyway, while Mr. Potts goes up to the tower with Truly and the toy maker to find the children, obviously. They eventually find them, and they use a cannon as a banging ramp to bang it open.
Yes, very nice.
And eventually, as they're trying to escape, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang eventually comes to the aid and eventually was able to come and save them. Without any help.
That's one of the first truly automatic cars.
Grandpa arrives eventually, and he was able to get out of the dungeon with the help of his family, and they get into the car. And eventually, the Baron and Baroness they were trapped in the cage, and eventually, well,
we don't know what happened to them.
That's not important. It's a fantasy story. Anyway, the Pottses get into their car, and they kind of flew off to home to England, obviously. And then that's the story end. And of course, I always thought when I was listening to the story, I kept thinking, this can't be imaginary. It feels like a true story. Well, true story in this movie, obviously. I mean,
it was purely a story.
It was purely a story.
Then we come back, they sit on the beach, it finishes in the story.
And the kids interject in the story saying that Mr. Potts and Truly eventually kiss and get married. And of course, Mr. Potts looks at her and she looks at him, and she looks like she's expecting. She's expecting.
She's taken with Dick Van Dyke. Mr. Potts, he's cute, nice, fun.
But I don't think. I think that I've told this. I think he's nervous, but he doesn't think he has anything to offer her.
He's got no money. He's broke as well, and she comes from a rich family as well. So
because she's come from a very wealthy class of family, obviously. Yeah. Anyway, he then drives her home, and of course he remarks to her that it's silly that the kid's suggesting they should get married, but she thinks it's not so silly.
No.
But eventually she gets upset and walks off.
And he goes home.
Yeah, and there we meet Mr. Scrumptious, her father, at his place where he is hanging out with Grandpa Potts, who was...
he used to work for him in the army.
Yeah, there used to be army people. Yeah. Anyway, he tells Mr. Potts that those special whistle sweets, he calls them wolf sweets because he says that they'll be good for dogs.
Yeah, the dogs like them.
Yeah, and he suggests that this will make him very wealthy and rich and stuff.
Yeah.
So this excites both the kids and Mr. Potts, realizing that he has invented something that people want.
So he rushes off to see Truly Scrumptious.
Yeah, and tells her the good news. And she already knew because I guess people have told her at the house, obviously. And here he says that he finally admits that it's not silly that they should get married. And eventually they kiss and head towards his car.
And which takes off and flies away. A little bit like in Grease.
Or like any other Disney movie, which I
Flying cars.
Yeah.
Flubber?
Yes. Anyway, then as they're flying off, they sing the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang song again. And then the credits roll and the end. That's it.
Wasn't
it's a short
fun,
credits.
Folks?
It's a short credits, obviously, unlike in other movies where they take everyone's name consideration.
Anyway, we have talked about Ian Fleming writing it and Roald Dahl doing the screenplay, so I'll skip all that crap. Okay, now filming locations. This is why the budget was so big, I think. Okay, all right. Okay. Now some of this was done in Oxfordshire, and some of it was done in Buckinghamshire.
Some of it was done in Pinewood Studio.
Well, no, sure. A place called Hanworth, Greater London, so the different location again. A place called Ivor Heath that's in Buckinghamshire again. A place called Longmoor Military Railway in Hampshire. The beach scene was done in France, Saint-Tropez.
Cool. Looks nice.
Where the river bridge is, the Ivor Bridge at Ivor, that's okay. But I'll skip the other one, Railway Bridge again. The cliffs where Chitty drives off is Beachy Head in Sussex in England, so they're all over the place. But when we get down here, Baron Bomburst Castle exterior is, I can't pronounce the word, that's in Bavaria.
Well, it looks like it is
I
one of
can't
those
pronounce.
places.
I just saw it. It's in West Germany, and the village is also in the same general area in Bavaria, Rothenburg or de Boer, whatever, in Bavaria. So a bit of travelling involved, which is a bit of a problem, and that eats up the cash a little bit.
Yeah, well, travel does that to you.
Yeah, release. I won't go on to it. A critic, film critic Roger Ebert. When are you back in those days? Right, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang contains about the best 2-hour children's movie you could hope for, with a marvellous magical auto and lots of adventure and a nutty old grandpa and a mean baron and some funny dances and a couple of scary moments.
Well.
So Roger Ebert liked it. Time began its review by saying the film is picture for the ages between 5 and 12, and ended by noting that at a time when violence and sex are the dual sellers at the box office, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang looks better than it is simply because it's not all that bad. You see? So it's nice and wholesome and family friendly and all that sort of stuff. Now, having said about family friendly, if you've got a couple of kids, young kids, single figures, I would say, let them watch it. Sit down there as a family group and just enjoy it. It's fun. Remember that fun F-U-N word? We used to, when we were kids, mum and dads, the kids used to watch television together instead of going to separate rooms. So everyone generally thinks it's pretty damn good. Yeah. Yeah, but it just didn't do very well at the theatre for some reason or other. The cinema. I don't know why. I'm just going to see what any notes here. No, it doesn't say much here. Just although the film was the 10th most popular at the US box office in 1969, because of its high budget, it lost United Artists an estimated $8 million during its initial run in cinemas. But it's probably picked it up after that in VHS and different things later on. But they didn't have tapes back in 1969, so you had, but later on.
Yeah, I watched it, say, 2 times when I was a little kid. I mean, when I was little, I always thought it was a Disney movie, obviously. And when I got older, I saw it again on television. I didn't see it very many times because I don't know why, though. I mean, maybe it was I just missed it a couple of times, or maybe something else much more better movies were on at the time, obviously.
Well, look, but you have to understand, Sarah, when it first came out, it was in 1968. When were you born?
1986, but I meant reruns here and there.
Yeah, but it came on TV and stuff and different things, and that.
And of course,
it was no longer popular. It was known, but so many years later.
True.
But
it still gets the odd musical stage, thingy wing here and there.
Times change and styles change as well.
People still want to see it. I mean, every so often whenever I go into Brisbane City, I always go past the theatre house and see that the latest production would be Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and it would still kind of takes root to, and has been going on for quite a long time when you think about it.
Here we go. All the lyrics are written by the Sherman Brothers. All the lyrics. All music is composed by the Sherman Brothers, and there was 13 tracks. That's not bad.
No, there's a plot.
13 tracks had to do, which is damn good. They did a lot of good filming, got nice, good tunes, good family movie, and it's not totally ridiculous like some movies are.
Ridiculous, yes.
I won't go into too much more stuff than that. That's it. But I was going to talk about Roald Dahl a little bit, but we did touch on that of He and Ian Fleming and stuff and different things. And so I won't do too much of that. I might bore you too much.
I gotta admit, it does have that kind of Roald Dahl, approach to stories. Like, when you think about it, I mean, I did read a little bit of the original story, that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's quite different from the movie itself or the musical. It's more focused on. Yeah, it has a different story approach. Of course, there was many stories that attached to the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang story. There's 3 stories in one. That, according to my research.
Yep.
And it's a shame that Ian Fleming never saw whether it was going to be a success or a bomb, in his book career.
Well, it doesn't matter.
But I guess we'll never know. I mean. Actually, we probably would know, considering it's written on Wikipedia and stuff like that, and so we can actually find out if the book was successful or it was a flop.
Yeah. Hey, here's the stuff on him. Now, here we are. Roald Dahl was born in Wales, and he served in the Royal Air Force during the Second World War.
Royal Air Force, yes.
He became a fighter pilot and subsequently an intelligence officer, rising to the rank of acting wing commander. So he was he worked hard in the military.
He's a wingman
in the Air Force. So
that explains a lot. Considering that he's in Air Force and Ian Fleming was in the Navy,
I think, and he was in naval intelligence.
So they worked in opposite ends of the field.
Well, they might have crossed paths because I think they would have had to collaborate on different things at different stages as well. So they might have been each other.
Maybe. It's a small writing community world.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about during the war. They might have had to do joint operations.
Yeah, when he did the joint operations mincemeat.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah, they might have had to work together.
That operation. Almost all of the those missions he did, operations he did, were either based or taken from his life story and turned into continuations of the James Bond series. You guys heard of the Goldfinger? The GoldenEye. That was named after a mission in World War II, and then it was later used as his estate in Jamaica. Did you know that?
Yeah. I knew that. I know that.
And it then goes on later on to become the name for the Pierce Brosnan's,
movie.
James Bond movie, obviously, as you know, well known. So
Pierce Brosnan, I think. Yes.
But then again, when you think about it, I think that that particular James Bond movie was seeing as the rest of the ones were all written by Ian Fleming, and after that they were taken over by other writers and scriptwriters.
I think Roald Dahl only did one. I thought he did more than he only did one, and some other writers took over the story writing in the same feeling as Fleming and Roald Dahl and stuff. So Ian Fleming was a good writer, obviously, because he's wrote a few books, and Roald Dahl, I think, was probably a better writer, but he had a better fantasy.
Yeah, because his fantasy is more of a
imagination. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting writer.
He creates things. It's a bit like Tolkien. Yeah, they make a total new world of creatures and people and names and languages and stuff. How the hell do you do that?
Yeah.
I have got no idea.
I was amazed that Roald Dahl was able to write not just children's stuff, but then later on one of the James Bond books. I mean, stories, obviously.
Well,
It still amazes me that he was able to go for an adult approach to his writing. When you think about it.
Well, that's what it was. Yeah, he was an all-round writer, but I got some notes here of the things he actually did. Still here? No. Writing roles. Here we are. Right. Now, some of this were feature films and some were TV episodes or whatever.
See?
Okay. From the 50s through to, from 1950 to 58, he did, short little thingy bits here, one episode of this or one episode of that, like Lux Video Theatre and Philip Morris Playhouse, that sort of stuff. Now, after that, between 58 and 61, he did 7 episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. There's something called Way Out, and that was the week that was. Each of those were 1 episode. And then after that was 36 Hours. That was a feature film. And You Only Live Twice, a feature film.
Yeah, that's a James Bond one.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, about a year later, that was a feature film. Jack and Nori, that was 10 episodes. That was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, did the screenplay. The Road Builder, whatever that is, another one. Tales of the Unexpected, 26 episodes. The new Alfred Hitchcock Presents did 1 episode. The BFG, Big Friendly Giant, for the people who don't know, he did the story for that. It was a feature film. Yeah, the book, Danny, the Champion of the World. I think I've heard that.
Yeah, well, that's
one of his story and a main telemovie. Now, wait a minute. Presenting roles. He hosted different things. Way Out, 30-Minute Theatre, the 41st Annual Academy Awards, Read All About It, This Is Your Life, Tales of the Unexpected, 32 episodes. Not bad. He played himself in it. So he was all-rounder. He did stuff. He wrote, he did TV, he did films, he wrote stories. He did screenplays. He's a very talented man.
Not bad for an old airman. And now gone on to become a legend.
Yeah, he's finally got his wings.
Yes.
Well, back in 1990 anyway. Anyway, now I'm going to rate Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Now, I normally rate these on their own merits, their own genres. Okay, so this is a musical fantasy sort of thing. So I'm going to rate it. I'm not going to compare it to a slasher movie. Now, I think as an all-rounder good family entertainment, I think it makes it. It's good fun for everybody. You're young and young at heart. Very nice. The filming's good. The songs are good. The story's not too bad. Yeah, it's a good all-rounder. I'm going to give it, because I'm young at heart in some ways. I've got grandkids. I would have the grandkids watch this with me, and I'll sit down there and enjoy it.
Yeah, if they sit down
I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10 myself, obviously. I think it does appeal to the young at heart and the young too, obviously.
It's enough fantasy in it to make it fantasy, but it's enough real life in it to make it real life.
Yeah.
It's not all just hairy-fairy sort of up in the air and what's this crap and that sort of thing, because then it doesn't make any sense. But when you got real day-to-day, guy, you got 2 kids, his wife's obviously dead, he's trying to get by and everything else, all of a sudden there's a story thrown there about a fantasy for the car and stuff, and it all works.
Yeah, I always thought I like the fantasy story that comes out of the story, obviously.
And the kids
it's
love
a
it.
story within a story, which is even cooler.
And there's a bit of a love story going on in there, which is nice.
Because I always like movies where it's a story within a story, because then you don't know whether you don't know what's real and what's not until actually experiencing it in the story.
Anyway.
And especially the part where way to the end you see the car really flying.
Yeah, and this time it didn't have wings or anything. It just took off like in Grease or in Flubber or whatever.
Or, yeah, exactly.
And you see drive down the road and takes off without wings.
As I said before,
yeah, really good.
As I said before, guys, this is why I keep thinking of going back to the Disney classics a lot whenever I think of this movie ever so often, because I think of the Flubber, and I think of Grease, and I think of the let me see, the Babes in Toyland, which had the similar ending too.
Yeah, a bit.
Because it has these connecting building blocks that make me think of all those types of movies.
Yeah. Poor people can't get married, and boy goes away, they make some money, gets abducted because an evil guy wants to take the girl and everything else. Yeah, all that sort of good groovy stuff.
Yeah, you can see why I think this type of stuff seems to have a connection. Anyway, so that's our opinions about this movie. Now, so where to get it
now,
is the big question.
It is still available. Yes, it is. A 1968 movie is still available, and you get Blu-rays and everything. And okay, eBay, it's for sale. There you go then. Amazon, you can rent it or buy it. However, being an oldie, you've been going back that far, watch out for any VHS tapes or laser discs or anything else which might sneak in, okay? But yeah, have a look. There's only one Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Some movies have had recently said, well, we've got 3 or 4 movies of the same name. There's only one Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And if you look at it, produced by Broccoli and Dick Van Dyke is the lead actor, you got the right one. Okay? So there, you killed it. That's great. It's nice. I wish I had a colour of that.
I think we all want
nice.
that. Anyway,
well, Jensen Interceptor would be nice too, but yeah.
I'm kind of glad we don't really, to be honest, because then we won't. If it's such a car exists, it takes away the fantasy. Then the whole flying cars, been there,
actually,
done that.
Speaking of flying cars, you know what car I really like?
What's that?
That car in the last Starfighter was turned into a rocket.
Oh, that's cool.
Spaceship. Yeah, that was a really cool car. I love one of those.
Yeah, as I said before, if such a car exists in our time, that takes away the whole fantasy. It becomes a everyday item, and I feel like, oh my gosh, there we go again. We've gone ahead and reinvented it, and now it's
if
no
you're
longer.
flying along up there and you run out of petrol, what happens?
Good point.
You can't pull over to a local cloud, can you?
Nope.
No. And
there's also the fact that what if you end up crashing into a plane? Like, remember an airport in the second movie?
Yeah, that little guy's there.
He had a heart attack. He rammed right into a plane.
And they tried to blame the big airplane for hitting him. Considering the airplane is on a designated, prescribed, or what do you call it? Flight path, whatever. Yeah. It's all locked in computers, and they're exactly where they're supposed to be. It's not my fault. Yes, it was. But you can't blame the dead guy. No. Anyway,
you want
to speak of the dead guy? Do you want to kill us now?
Yeah. So that's this. So that's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. So it's up to you guys now to actually go ahead and watch the thing, obviously. And some of you guys, if you guys have not seen it, I highly recommend it for all of you guys to check it out.
Exactly.
Because don't take our word for it, because it's always good to actually watch the thing before you actually make
It's cheap enough to rent and it's cheap enough to buy. So if you want to share something good, look, I watched a movie a couple of years ago. I was when I was still working. I was talking to an old guy, a bit older than me, and he had his grandkids. We were talking about old movies. He said, "Wow," I was talking about this old movie. I think it was The Thief of Baghdad, or one of those old movies that Sabu was playing in.
Yeah, I remember that one.
A really top movie, and he wanted a copy of it to show his grandkids. And I thought, yeah, okay. I just happened to have a copy. And my wife said, those kids won't be interested in that old movie. And guess what? They loved it.
Yeah, I watched it too. And I still... It took me a while to actually try to find the story, find the name of the movie till years later. Obviously,
The Thief of Baghdad. Sabu played in it. I can't remember who the other actors were.
Yeah, it's the same with this movie, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I used to think of it as the flying car, or just I just made up names, obviously, but I didn't even know the name until years later, until it filled in the blanks, obviously.
But anyway, what I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with the old movies if it fits watch them. You know, I mean, there's some really, really top old movies. I like the old sci-fis. I like the old horrors. One of my old favourite sci-fis, well, one of them is Forbidden Planet. Another one's called Marooned. What's the other one? They shrink them down. Fantastic Voyage.
Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah. These old movies, they're really good. You can sit down there and watch them today and say, hey, they're good. Yeah. You don't have to have all the mod cons and all the whistles and bells and everything all the time. And they were made really well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good acting, good cinematography, everything else. It's great. So So don't discount the old movies, folks.
Yeah. So don't knock an old movie or knock it twice unless you haven't seen it yet. Yeah. Because if you just judge it by poster or the fact of the reviewers, then you're missing out something that you might.
Sometimes reviewers get so wrong.
Yeah. See, you remember the reviewer that just said a number of gobbledygook stuff. It just feels like he was right. He was not reading it properly.
Some of the stuff they come with, they just that. They put some words together because they're being paid to do a review. Uh-huh. Now, whether they like it or not, it taints them. But I don't like these sort of things, so I won't grade it very high. Yeah, that sort of thing. It's very biased.
It's biased.
So, but what I suggest you do, if you're not real sure, see if you can find a trailer for it on YouTube or something rather, or somewhere, and have a look at it first. But it's a rent you can buy. You can get it cheap. It's not a biggie. And have a look at it for the kids. It's really good. And you younger people, you might have nieces and nephews who might want to watch it. Yeah.
So
cool.
That's our latest review, guys. Now, moving on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you may actually sit down and watch this movie with your kids, obviously.
Or the grandkids.
Or grandkids, depending on who you're living with.
Well, I'm 70, and I have got great grandkids. I haven't got great grandkids. I've got great grandchildren. And they're really, really good.
Great, as in
they're fantastic. No, they're very fantastic. They're really great. Yeah, but I'm not that old. I've got great grandchildren. I've got great grandchildren. Yeah. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're really good.
It's weird how that terminology can be so confusing.
You say that. No, they're two good kids, and they love doing things with me, and they're at the age where I can probably sit down now and start watching these old movies with them, and they might stay still long enough. So actually sit down and watch with me.
It's just trying to get them off the YouTube for a couple minutes.
Well, not YouTube. They're on my computer all the time. Every time they come down here, they're playing Minecraft. Great kids. Really good. How about watch a movie with... What? I didn't show them Minecraft. They found it.
Yeah, and now they're stuck on it, and I can't even get them off it.
And they share.
I can't even get them to sit down and watch any of my stuff sometimes. Yeah.
But I want to show them really good
things. Years ago, I could probably get them to sit down and actually watch Pingu with me, but now they're not. But now it's all video games. And I'm looking at you, Mike, especially because you're the one who put them on there. And now I can't even get them to talk to me.
Wait a minute, don't blame me totally.
I'm not the one who asked about video games.
Just because I've got two computers on my desk here and I've got two children sitting here all the time when they come down to visit, don't blame me.
Mm-hmm. Keep telling yourself that.
Just because I bought them laptops.
And an iPad.
And iPads.
And they're using Mum's phone. My sister's phone.
Okay.
What?
So they're technological...
They're tech freaks. They're couch potatoes, which is probably...
They're lovely. Anyway, let's kill it. Come on.
Okay, so that's it from us, guys. You guys know where to find us in our next podcast.
Your feedback would be very much appreciated.
Your feedback would be always appreciated. We always love feedback from our fans.
Even if it's a load of crap, whatever. You just give some feedback.
Yeah, naturally.
Well, we like to say positive feedback, though. Yeah.
Well, it usually helps. Anyway, that's it from us, guys. So this is Sarah Stephenson.
And Michael.
Saying see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now, and see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.